Hi, I'm Anya, also known as Meppity, and I have red hair now. In today's video, I'll be talking about my inspirations and how you can find your own. You'll also be watching me paint for the first time in almost 8 months. It was a really wonderful day, so I decided to go outside, although it was 33 degrees, which is hot for the UK, and I was so sweaty by the end of this video. Oh, and stay tuned for a mini outfit of the day type thing at the end. It's a new segment that I'd like to try. This isn't a video about looking for new inspiration or getting out of art block, but rather how to organise your pre-existing inspirations in order to help you properly utilise them. The way I'll be structuring this is by categorising potential inspirations into 3 sections: visual, thematic, and goal-oriented. I can't think of a better name for the last one. A lot of things mentioned are interchangeable between categories, but I've laid them out to best suit me as I'll be providing a few personal examples. What I recommend you do is take into account the types of things I'm listing and think about what your own version of each inspiration is. We'll start with visual inspirations. I have always found Pinterest boards, Instagram folders, hashtags and so forth very useful. It can help you find new styles, artists, and perhaps subject matter that you would never have considered beforehand. This was especially helpful to me when I was trying to figure out what I liked when I was 14, 15-ish. It also helped me find specific artists. There's too many to list here, but you can get a good idea of who inspires me by checking out who I follow on Instagram. A few of my favourites are linked in the description, and I highly recommend you go check them out. All these artists are absolutely incredible. Then moving beyond artists, I also think about what specific aspects of their work inspires me, such as colour schemes, signature facial features, poses, outfits and so on. I also look at the world around me and think what inspires me from there, such as the time of day. I love the golden hour. I mean, who doesn't like it? Photographers go crazy for that kind of stuff. And because I like this time of day, I have a lot of warm colours in my work. It also helps that, you guys would be so surprised to know this, but yellow is my favourite colour. Then there's also seasons or specific places. I don't have a favourite season, and that actually does translate into my work because I tend to keep my things very ambiguous. Only occasionally do I make it very obvious by having specific outfits and so forth. I also take into account my favourite animals or creatures. I love people, and this is a visual inspiration for me as I love drawing humans but can tell the same stories with a multitude of different characters. Moving on to thematic inspirations. For a storyteller, I don't watch enough films and certainly don't read enough books, but I'm heavily inspired by a variety of media nonetheless. My favourite book is 1984 by George Orwell. I find dystopian fiction fascinating. My most inspirational film is The Truman Show. It really makes you think, as it makes you question the morality of the plot. For me, it's also one of those films that even days after watching it, you still are thinking about it and it really plagues you, but in a positive sense, and I'd really like to do the same with my work. Then I have lots of TV shows that inspire me, shows such as Gravity Falls because of its humour and character development, along with its air of mystery and depth of plot. Then Adventure Time because of its setting. A setting is something else to consider with inspiration. I love post-apocalyptic worlds, which ties in nicely with dystopia. With Adventure Time, there's so many bizarre worlds and creatures, and it's incredibly entertaining to watch. What I also enjoy is its surface-level episodic storytelling paired with the constant undercurrent of something bigger and more serious. The mystery of the past and the alternate universes add real depth to this universe that Penn Ward created. Then, slightly different to those shows, I have always been fascinated by Soviet cartoons. Now, this may be because I grew up watching them due to my Russian mother, so things like "Ну погоди", "Чебурашка", "Незнайка", and then this animation about a kid dressing up a wild bunny for a tea party. I don't remember what that is, and if anyone knows what I'm talking about, please let me know. I've been trying to find this film for so long. Anyway, Soviet cartoons are great because they have this fable nature to them. They're very friendly and talk about morals. For me, it's a little too on the nose, but I still want to take this idea on board and present it in a more subtle manner. Moving on to live action TV shows, since I was little, I very much enjoyed late 90s, early 2000s small town murder mystery shows like Rosemary and Thyme, Poirot, Marple, Lewis, and Midsummer Murders, just to name a few. I enjoy the setting as well as the mystery element. You can see that with a lot of my inspirations, there's similar ideas running through it, and this is why it's so good to organise this. As for my most inspirational podcast, I love Welcome to Night Vale. It's quirky and nonsensical in one way, but cohesive and captivating in another. The air of mystery and depth to each character, paired with its cheesy taglines such as John Peters, you know, the farmer, wheat and wheat byproducts, or all hail the mighty glow cloud, makes you feel a part of this universe. And then I really like the clever use of the weather, which is actually the music as the interval in the middle of the episode. Then with music, I don't talk about my favourite songs, but rather the ones that create the atmosphere that I want to evoke in my work. I have, again, too many to list here, but we can go more specific and think about instruments. For example, I love mallet and music box type sounds paired with electronics. And then with genre, I very much like nostalgic 80s music, but not pop music, rather the type of stuff that was in Soviet cartoons. Then going into miscellaneous stuff, other media I like is Gorillaz. The music is great, but not a direct inspiration to my work. Rather, the dynamic between the band being fictitious and simultaneously feeling as real as you and I. I just love how each character has developed and adapted to be a part of the real world. Moving away from media, but keeping with the thematic inspiration section, I'm now talking about my surroundings. To start off, we'll have things like my childhood and the inside jokes shared between my family, my friends, school life. Another part of my surroundings is where I have visited and what I have done. I am incredibly fortunate to be a very well-travelled person, especially at my age. I have gone to loads of different parts of the world, interacted with all walks of life, tried so many different things, and it's really informed my view of the world and what I want to talk about. Part of this was in the summer of 2017, I spent a month in India, walking in the Himalayas and going through some cities up north of the country. It was an absolutely fascinating time, and I'll remember it for the rest of my life. I definitely want to include some elements of that experience within my future TV show. And then moving back to my everyday surroundings, this is what most inspires me for a fact, and that is my life in the English countryside. I've mentioned it in past videos, but I can't not mention it because it's so important to me. This includes the wildlife I'm surrounded by. All I need to do is step outside of my house and I am completely surrounded by all kinds of creatures, cows, sheep, peacocks. I mean, earlier today there was a mouse in the house. The footage I'm showing you now is literally all from the past 24 hours. And I want to have characters in my work that are reflective of these creatures that I currently see every day. Partly because I want to pay homage to my home, and secondly because I'll be moving away from this and I can predict I'll be quite homesick. So if I keep drawing what I love, then I can be closer to it in a sense. On top of this, the luscious green of the countryside and the peaceful isolation it provides is very important to me. I mean, at home I can run around naked and scream all I want and no one is going to bat an eyelid because no one can hear or see me. Yeah, that'd be terrible if I was being murdered, but at any other point it's so freeing to have this space. Stemming from my love of the countryside, I think it's also important to consider your senses. What you see, smell, hear, taste, touch. Sounds such as birds in the morning or sheep, and weather like rain and especially thunderstorms are very calming to me, and I want my work to be mostly calming as well. Then there's also smells. I love the smell of rain. I believe its name is petrichor. I can't create a smell with my drawings, sure, but I'm still to this day trying to see how I can emulate that sense through a visual stimulation. Overall, the English countryside inspires me because I want my work to be bucolic. Bucolic is a really nasty word. It sounds like a combination between like cholera and bubonic plague or something, but the word is more about the positive attributes to countryside life. I just want to put in here how lucky I am to live in such a wonderful, beautiful place. I'm appreciative of it every single day and eternally thankful for being raised in such a wonderful space. And now the final section, goal-oriented inspirations. This one's a little more difficult to talk about because it's quite vague, so sorry if this is a little bit all over the place. One of my goals for a very long time was getting into CalArts. This has now been achieved, so it's no longer a goal, but this is partly because of another inspiration, and that is Alex Hirsch. He went to the same summer school I went to, he also studied at CalArts, and from a young age he was given the opportunity to have his own incredibly successful TV show. I want to do the same, so he is very much a goal inspiration of mine. Some may consider that this is causing tunnel vision, and I do agree in a sense because what he has achieved can be attained by a huge number of paths. I don't have to do exactly what he did, but it does help motivate me very much because I know exactly what I want to achieve. Then another goal, this one's kind of meta, is my inspirations are what I want to achieve, so I'm inspired by what inspires me, if that makes sense. Like all these TV shows I'm listing, I want to do that too. Slightly separate from TV shows, then another recent inspiration is Best Dressed, also known as Ashley, on YouTube. I only started watching her about a month ago, but I very much enjoy her content, and she has a relatively similar lifestyle to what I think I'll have in the future, living in LA, being a creative person, having a YouTube channel. She has a very good number of followers and produces similar content to me, although it's more about fashion. But it still is a direct inspiration to me. One crucial thing about this section is for you to consider if your goals are healthy or not. Do they have a positive effect on your motivation and your work, or do they hinder your progress? This is another reason why organizing your inspirations is important, because it helps you step back and think, am I doing the right thing? I have mostly listed my artistic inspirations, but this section can be incredibly useful in other ways, such as with fashion sense, or decorating an apartment, or even your entire lifestyle. This does not have to be art related. Okay, I'm all done talking about my inspirations, and now I've finished my painting. Considering it's been almost 8 months since I last used paint, I'm quite happy with the result. It's not too bad. I do wish that I didn't overwork it so much. I spent about 58 minutes on this when I could have easily spent just 40. Just saying, I didn't do direct observation. Rather, I looked at what was in front of me and used it as a guide. I got rid of a few trees, added some flowers, changed the lighting ever so slightly, but it was very helpful to have what was in front of me as inspiration. I'm so sorry that the footage was mostly covered by my hand. I didn't notice I was doing that until after I had filmed, but I promise that next time I do a video like this, that'll not be an issue. Moving on to my outfit of the day. This is a segment I'd like to do because, as well as drawing, I love dressing up too. Let me know if you guys would want to see this kind of thing in future videos. I very much enjoyed filming this, even though, my gosh, I'm cringing so hard looking back at this footage while editing. The dress is a recent purchase from Topshop. It's not my typical style as I cannot stand floral patterns, but I adore the silhouette. It's similar to a 40s costume I wore for a school play last year. It's very flattering on the waist and the chest, and is super flowy and perfect for weather like today. I broke up the femininity of the dress a little with these patent leather heeled brogues that match my hair. I bought them in Japan, and one thing I recommend to Westerners is maybe don't shoe shop in Japan unless you have small feet. With every single pair of shoes I've bought in Japan, I had to buy the biggest size available, and even then that was sometimes too small. And I don't have big feet, they're pretty average for Europeans. I'm a UK size 6, which I think is a European 39. I chose these shoes because they're heeled, which is very flattering on the calves, and they're ankle height. I prefer these to military style boots because they would make my already short legs look very stocky. And I'm not wearing any jewellery in this outfit because, well, I wasn't going out anywhere. Only sheep and cows were seeing me, so there was not really any point in putting in that extra effort. Although if I was to wear jewellery, I'd probably wear some plain silver studs, just because things like shell jewellery and all these dainty layered necklaces are way too trendy for me. That's all for this video. I hope you found it enjoyable and at least a little useful. If you want to see more from me, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell down below. I make all kinds of art-related videos. Why not also follow my Instagrams at anya.arts and Meppity. Anya Arts is for more polished works, whilst Meppity is more for sketches and doodles. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!